What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Prison to Promise podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Craig Waleed. Today, we're joined by the good brother Waymon Daniels out of Rochester, New York, for a real conversation about struggle, growth, healing, and purpose. Wayman's journey speaks to what it means to move through pain, confront the weight of the past, and still find strength to rise, rebuild, and give something back. Yo, this is a conversation about transformation from the inside out and about what can happen when a person finds their voice and decides to use it. Guaranteed, this is a conversation you don't want to miss. Now, let's go. You know,
Yeah,
they say it shit happens, hey.
it happens, right? It happens, bro. And I couldn't let it get me discouraged because I control my environment, so I'm staying focused on that, my internal, despite external stuff. So yeah,
You
I
sound like
take
a busy dude then, man.
man, I try to because that's the only way you can take, not to say super busy, but that's the only way I take care of my family by doing what's necessary. And out there
Absolutely.
doing a lot of community stuff as far as I posted something on LinkedIn. And
Mm-hmm.
of course you share your story. And this young lady, I don't know if you saw the clip, and she was telling me about how she grew up going to prison to visit a loved one, and she was proud of me at a very nice high school.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I cried as I was doing the presentation,
Yeah.
and I said, "This is why I do what I do." You know what I mean? So yeah,
Mm-hmm. That resonates with me, man, especially those
yeah,
tears when you get
yeah,
appreciation from people. It's like, wow,
yeah,
man, I'm really making a difference and people really
yeah,
feel me and I'm doing something that
yeah.
who thought I would be doing this?
Exactly. So yeah, man, it's just it's been fulfilling. I just one of the guys I did a veteran as a matter of fact
Mm-hmm.
did a 4-week program with him. Well, not with
Yeah.
him, but with the veterans organization, and it ended last Friday. So he sent me a letter that he's going to present to the executive director,
Mm-hmm.
talking about the impact of the curriculum and the workshop that I done for 4 weeks and wants an extension because 4 weeks
Yeah.
not really enough time. You're only getting 2 hours. You get an
Right.
hour Monday, an hour Friday. And when you really unpacking some stuff, bro, it needs a continuum of just say, okay. And but I enjoyed that. So when I saw the letter that he sent to the executive director, again, I got emotional
Yeah.
because again, whoever would have thought that I would be doing this
Yeah.
despite what the naysayers said years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And yo,
Yeah.
that's a perfect segue, man. So like for people who will be listening to this conversation,
Yeah.
please introduce yourself, who you are, maybe give just a little background of that past
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
people were still drawing from and maybe just a little bit about what you're doing now. And we'll get out our metaphorical shovels and start digging.
Okay, yeah. My name is Waymon Daniels, and I'm honored to be a part of the podcast and was asked to be on it by my brother Waleed, Craig Waleed, that is. And a little bit about my past, a small synopsis because it's a huge story. So I'm gonna try to make it within the 1 minute and 30-second time frame, or maybe 2 minutes most. But I grew up in, as we would call it, the jungle of life, poverty, single parent home without a father, never knew my father, never heard his voice, never saw his face. So that played a lot into my childhood of missing something or wanting something that I was going to never have or see or hear. And that caused me to feel like a failure. It felt like it was my fault that him and my mother were not together. And so what that caused me to have was very antisocial behaviors, but it also caused me to have sub personalities and subgroups. What I mean by that, I was being pretentious about being happy, hiding my pain, being a class clown and acting up in school and acting up at home because I didn't want anyone to know what I was dealing with. So that sub personality grew and grew and became such a habit that I started having antisocial behaviors. I joined the gang back in the day when I was young because I was looking for that role model, but looking for that father figure in the gang, but also looking for acceptance. That caused me to use drugs. I started out smoking marijuana, started drinking, became an alcoholic at an early age. But I thought marijuana was just it, but it was an introduction to other drugs. started doing crack cocaine, heroin, and angel dust. Now, so you gradually see how I'm making the progression into the jungle life because I thought I had no value nor no worth. Well, I never was in trouble before as far as the law goes. So I kept on doing crimes and robbing people and doing things that were not right. I became a terror to my community, a terror to my family, and a terror to myself. End up being incarcerated to prison, was sentenced to 20 years in the state penitentiary, end up doing 7. Now let's get back to the watershed moment for me was when my children came to prison, my 12-year-old daughter, my 7-year-old daughter. My 12-year-old daughter said, Daddy, I want a man just like you. My 7-year-old came and said, Daddy, you don't love me and mommy anymore. You left home to come here. Those things broke me because I finally realized that I was no longer affecting myself, but I was affecting my family. But go back a little bit, when I was sentenced to 20 years, my mother was in the courtroom and I felt like I failed her and it was a disappointment. At that particular moment in prison, I started making change. I said, well, a friend of mine, I call him a friend because he was a friend in prison. He says, Butter, AKA never go by your real name.
That's
He
right.
says, Butter, I'm gonna
He
give you an
calls you butter.
article. Yeah, call me Butter. And he said, Malcolm X said that it's not a shame to go to prison, but it's a shame to leave the same way you came.
Yeah, man.
From that point on, I started working on changing because I had an abnormal fear about books. I had a bad bibliophobia. But what happened was, Brother Waleed, I thought, and here's just being transparent, I
Mhm,
thought only Caucasians were smart. And if I was trying to be smart when I was younger, I was trying to be like them.
mhm,
I was taught that false narrative, and I
mhm,
became that false narrative.
mhm,
And I wouldn't read books. I wouldn't even apply myself. And as you can listen to me, you can tell I'm a very bright dude by just listening to me. But I didn't want my friends to see that. I flunked. I failed the 7th grade twice, the 8th grade twice, the 9th grade twice. Ended up dropping out in the 10th grade. Well, before that, I got kicked out of New York State. I couldn't go to school anywhere in New York State because I was just being bad, rebellious,
mm.
dealing with the pain of not
Right.
knowing my father, anger, all this other stuff. And I dropped out, or got kicked out. Then of course I dropped out. I said, "No, they ain't gonna kick me out. I'm gonna drop out."
Yeah.
Like a
Listen, you tell
reactor.
me.
Yeah. And so that's the small synopsis of how I transitioned from there to here, which we're gonna talk about now.
Mhm. And so, brother, thanks for that introduction. And a lot of what you said resonates with me, and I'm
Mhm.
sure a lot of our listeners it would resonate with. Talking about a single parent,
Yeah.
absent father, turning to drugs, alcohol, different personalities developing, maybe even to the point of a personality disorder. But clearly, man, you lived through some pain, you lived through addiction, and I'm sure, you're not a young boy, so I'm sure you've had some major life transitions for better and for worse. And, you talked about some of those turning points, such as like, realizing maybe you failed mom and realizing, your children have gotten the wrong ideal about what life is about and what people are about. But what were some of the other maybe major turning points that help you rebuild your life from the inside out? And when I say the inside out, I'm talking like
Mhm.
inside
Right.
out, as well as from inside the penitentiary out.
Well, I had to look at my life because when I walked into Elmira State Facility, which
Mm.
is a max, and when I walked in there, Craig, I looked up and I had to ask myself this, which was a good question, but it was a crazy question. How did I get here?
Damn, that was my same question when I was in Elmira. Same question.
Yeah,
So I said,
yo,
how the fuck did I get here?
right. And I had to think about it because you have to be cognizant to take accountability
Hmm.
because so many people hide behind I made mistakes. No, those were not mistakes, bro. I knew what I was doing. I was conscious of what I was doing, but I wasn't aware of the penalty of what I was doing. I thought maybe they'd slap me on the wrist and say, yo, go do probation. But they said, nah. To answer your question, what made me have the thought of training my mind to be different and to want to evolve, when you know 99.9% of prison is negative. And when your eyes are starting to be opened, you start to notice certain things in your surrounding because the penitentiary is a small scale of city life. Every culture is in different corners, in the different sectors. You have your Italians, you have your Spanish, you have your black people here, your white people here. You have those. It's the same way in the city, but it's a smaller
Mm.
spectrum. So
Microscope.
as you sit around and look around, and you look at these subgroups, which they have many of in prison,
Mhm.
but you look at how you are affecting your family, bro. 30 for just 35 pounds and leaving money in your commissary. And then I had the nerve to get mad at my family when they didn't put money on the books.
Yeah,
And my
man.
sister said, bro, let me tell you something. We didn't stop living because you went to prison. You chose to go there.
Mm.
That's when I started to change my life and say, Wayman, you are better than this. You need to get yourself together. Because my sister told me a long time ago when I was on drugs real heavy. She said, "Bro, do you ever look in the mirror?" And I said, "I look in the mirror every day." I might was looking in the mirror, but I wasn't really looking in the mirror. So when she left about 2 weeks later, I finally looked in the mirror, man. I was looking like the Pink Panther, man. Jaws all sucked in, face all small. But then I thought about my first wife divorced me when I was in prison. And I said, bro, you tearing up everything that you say that you love. You say you love family, but you tearing up your family.
Mm.
And so I started again, what I started to do, I started reading books.
Yeah, man.
I started working on books, reading books that would help me change my mindset because I didn't know how.
Yeah.
Because I had no role models, I had no examples. In the jungle, I had the wrong examples. And so what I did, I just buckled down, man, and just started reading. And every day I would try to change a little bit of myself. And then those habits start to become a part of who I am today.
Yeah. Incremental changes, bro.
Yeah,
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 definitely. I'm feeling what you're talking about because it's like I was walking in your same shoes,
yeah, yeah,
story so very similar,
yeah,
especially the road to transitioning. And you talked about books, man.
yeah.
What were maybe 2 books, maybe 3 books that really helped change your perspective?
I'm gonna tell you a very powerful book. It's called by Dr. Viktor Frankl, A Man's Search for Purpose. That book taught me and showed me from a psychological perspective
Mhm.
of what things look like
Yeah.
and how when a man doesn't have value, when
Mm.
he think he doesn't have value or worth, he just stands on the block and stand in the world of deja vu and not deja vu, but daydreaming all day,
Yeah, man.
wishing he had some value. So that was one book that I love and I recommend to anyone. And then it was a book by Mr. Henderson who done 10 years in the federal penitentiary called Cooked. And he's a world-renowned chef. He used to sell drugs, and how his life changed when he started applying this person who he knew he always was, but
Mm.
was afraid to show himself. So that book, Cooked by Mr. It's Jeff Henderson, as a matter of fact,
Chef
I
Jeff.
read that. It's a powerful book, bro.
Jeff Henderson. I've met him a
Yeah,
couple times.
you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Oh man, I would love to read. I would love to meet him because his book is transforming. And I had let someone hold the book.
Mhm.
They never gave it back, right? So I got another book on my shelf now that I was just looking at prior to speaking with you. I said, man, I got to get back into reading some more of my old books for a refresher. But
Yeah.
then I got another book that I'm looking at right here, and it says How We Change, which means a lot. How you can make those increments of change and how you can show the progression of change. But you have to have the information in
Yeah.
order to change. I,
Yeah.
I go do presentations for parole and probation.
Mhm.
And I told them if they ever want a job, the best place they can work is for change is hiring every day. And they have great benefits, but you have to want to change on the inside and implement it from the inside and see the results on the outside so
Mhm.
people can invite you in. So those were the most three powerfulest books I read. Of course, emotions and all that. I was on another podcast. They asked me, "Did you ever read Donald Goins?" I said, "No, I didn't. Access denied."
Yeah, man, I've read Viktor Frankl a couple times. I think
Yeah,
yeah, I first had it for, I think an English course,
yeah.
Search for Meaning. Then I read, I didn't read Chef Jeff's book, but,
Oh
definitely met
man.
Chef Jeff a couple times.
Yeah.
But one of the books that really changed my world,
Mhm.
one was Viktor Frankl, but also Malcolm X. That really
Oh
helped
really?
shape
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
perspective, yeah, and my
Yeah.
trajectory. But hey, man, not about me, but more about you, because when we
Yeah.
opened up, you were talking about, workshops you were doing and things of
Yeah.
that nature. Can you talk a little bit about the work that you do and,
Yeah.
what, yeah, like what is it that you do?
Well, I deal with personal development that leads to leadership. And Craig, I love talking about character and integrity
Hmm.
because we live in such a social media era and such a fast-paced era that we are so quick or want the bag so bad
Hmm.
that we're willing to do anything for the bag.
Yeah, man.
And I can go for, let's just say, TikTok or anything. People are making information infomercials for false products and vowing that they work because they want to be popular and for a bag.
Yeah.
Bro, whatever happened to your word means a lot to you. Just like I say, for instance, I wanted to be on your podcast. I said I will be here at 10.
Yeah.
If I would have stood you up and
Hmm.
not been here at 10, what does that say about me?
Yeah.
And so I try to incorporate, or with the curriculum that I created, I have one now that's so powerful. It's called Who Are You? That's the first segue to our 4-tier program.
Yeah.
And that's the first edition. I'm working on the third edition now. But when you talk about who are you, Craig, let's talk about it just briefly.
Hmm.
I was created and shaped by experiences,
Hmm.
but that wasn't who I was.
That's right.
But I identified with it because that's all I knew.
Hmm.
The bitterness, the anger, the hate, the fear. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
and
man.
then I became a bully because I was bullied.
Hmm.
But that wasn't who I was. So my experiences created me. And a perfect example to show you that sometimes you don't have control of your life. When I was born, even though I couldn't talk, they could have waited at least about 4 or 5 years and say, yo, what would you like to be named?
Hmm. It's your
So
ability.
when you look at that, experiences create us. So now we go back to the basics. Let's uncover and unpack who you are. I
Hmm.
often talk about this thing because I listen to my friend of mine, Jason Wilson. He talks about the 64 crayons in the crayon
I
box.
know Dr. Wilson.
Oh man, this brother, man, I love him, man. I just finished reading his book,
Yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah.
oh my God, when he talks about the two crayons, the protector and the provider, that's all I was coloring with.
Hmm.
That's all I knew.
Two
But
colors.
when I looked at the protector, I thought protecting was being tough and being hard, and the provider, I never realized that I have to be a nurturer and loving to my kids and to my mother and to my wife. So the program that we created was Who Are You? Is showing you that you need to get back to the basics of finding out who you are and not be identified by experiences or trauma, but
Hmm.
letting go of those things and start walking in the steps. Excuse me. And not be afraid, but be free who you are. We did a workshop 4 weeks ago, me and my wife, and this lady said she hates to say no.
Hmm.
And I said, where did that come from? She says, because when I was growing up, I heard no so much
Hmm.
that I tell everybody yes. So
Hmm.
what happened was she was shaped by an experience, and she wants to say no.
Hmm.
So you talk about that self-imposed incarceration and then emotional recidivism and so forth and so forth. Man, we could talk about it all day.
Yeah.
But those are some of the things that I do.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay. Thanks for sharing that. And
yeah.
what I've extrapolated from that is that your work helps people maybe focus on communication, leadership,
Yeah.
and because of what you shared about your own journey, also heal.
Hmm. Yes,
Uh,
yes.
would you say that finding one's voice is like an important part of transformation? Finding your voice, finding your identity is very important to transformation. And if so, how so?
I think that is very important because we can even go to a person because sometimes people, when they hear us speak, they're thinking that we're just talking about impoverished people, a certain ethnicity, a certain culture,
Yeah.
right? Let's talk about those that make 7 figures and making 6 figures.
Mhm.
They're dealing with struggles in their own lives and in their own family lives, right?
Mhm.
You invest so much money into the stock market and to make 6 figures to live in a gated community, but you never invest that time with your children.
Mhm.
So your children is missing out on the nurturer, missing out on a father and a mother. They have all the materialistic things, but they don't have the emotional support, the psychological support, or the spiritual support that they need. And also, they're missing someone to believe in their dreams and to walk with them through their dreams. You know what I mean? So when we talk about that interpersonal relationship with yourself first and understanding that I have value within myself, but I
Mhm.
also have value that I have to give to my family.
Yeah, man.
Because so many people would say, no, That's only for those that live in the jungle. No,
That's for everybody.
open mic communication, personal development is for. I was talking to the director of parole here and sent the proposal to them, and you sit in, you talk to them, and the lady says to me, Wayman is open mic communication only for Monroe County. I say, ma'am, open mic communication is for the world because the world needs personal development.
That's
And
right.
it's not only for those on parole and probation, it's for everybody. Because what happens is, and you know how this thing works, I'm not like that person. I don't need that because they're talking about drugs, alcohol, parole, and probation. But when you really listen to who are you, when you're, and here's something for you to think about, and on the topic of what you're talking about. Men and a lot of people are known by how they perform, but not how who they are.
Absolutely, and many of us don't know who we are.
Exactly. Exactly.
And, and the power with that is,
Hmm.
I go all the way back to, like, some of my early studies of, Egyptology, and
Yeah.
the things that they often promoted before knowing anything was, "Man, know
Yeah.
thyself."
Yes.
This is the first tenet of knowledge. Who are
Yes.
you?
Yes. Who
Thyself.
are you?
Yeah, bring
Hmm.
that to the table.
That.
So
Yeah.
so talk to me about maybe some of the work you've done with, at-risk youth, maybe
Okay.
at-risk people impacted by violence.
Hmm.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that if you would.
Well, of course, they, and this is so sad to say, they won't listen to you until you tell them your story that you're relatable.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's true.
And
That
I'm like, I want to be known so much more for who I am,
yeah,
excuse me, than
yeah,
who I was. When
right,
you walk into those rooms, they want to know what he know.
yeah,
Is he one of us? And
right.
so when I go into those into the rooms, into that population of people, even the youth, I open up with my story,
Mhm,
but I do that transition. 4 felonies, you talk about that, and you show them that despite what other people may say, that's their experience. It doesn't have to be your experience. So what you need to do is have your own experience and learn how to stand on your own. So many of us say we don't care about what people say about us, but we do.
absolutely.
The perfect
Right.
example, you ask any child or anyone that was in parole or doing with antisocial behaviors, how would you feel if your mother was standing here right now and she says, baby, I love you and gave you a great big hug?
Mhm,
So it does matter what people say. But then again, also, say for instance, you're married, we all want our wives or our spouses to say that we're doing a great job, right? So I share personal stories, and this is a true story. Maybe 2 months ago, my 7-year-old daughter came in the house and, hey, mommy, I'm glad to see you. I love you so much. Now I'm in the room. Don't come to me. Don't say nothing.
story. I know the story.
And so I said to my wife, I said, why she don't never come in and tell me she loved me and appreciate me? She says, well, have you ever thought about coming into her world? And I had to think about that. I didn't. I was inviting a 7-year-old into my world as an adult, hoping that she would understand. That's how sick is that?
Mhm,
So what I started doing, I started going into her world. Our relationship got better. So that relates and correlates with the rooms that I go in.
mhm,
I come into their world, understanding their world, but also understanding that they can change their view and their perspective. So I talk about hope and I talk about change. But I'm also a living epistle or an example showing them that you can do it, bro. I got 4 felonies, bro. Now I got my own business. I got two, as a matter of fact. Open my communication, level up apparel, level up podcast, bro. You can do it. And so, and I also let them know too that it's nothing wrong with being on parole and probation, Waleed, because guess what? My parole officer right now is downstairs. My wife.
mhm.
But
Absolutely,
in a good way. Life is parole.
absolutely.
As I said, so don't sit here and look at parole as something bad. Life is parole, bro. Even if you get your own
Look, man,
business.
a cat
Mm.
told me when I was getting out the
Yeah,
penitentiary, he said, "Young blood," he said,
yeah.
"when you get out, man, make sure you do 25 years to life in the community, baby."
Right, 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 right.
And I'm like, "What?" And then it hit me. I'm like, "Yeah,
Right, right.
yeah, yeah."
Yeah.
So I'm working on the L right now, so I'm with
Come on, man. Come on, man. We doing a bid.
yeah,
And when those people come into our cells, man, it's up to us to teach them, like, yo, bro, listen, I'm doing a life sentence right now.
yeah,
Come on, bro. Walk. Let me show you how this game really work in this thing.
Yeah.
Because life is about consequences. Life is about choices, bro. Even if you got your own business, see, people think when I get my own business, I can do it. Bro, Uncle
Mhm.
Sam is your parole officer. Don't pay them
Mhm.
taxes.
Yeah, yeah,
Life
you
is
you got
parole.
rules and laws and
Come on.
regulations and expectations to live up to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it. So what I do is I come into the young people and I relate I'm relatable. I
Mhm,
tell stories that are pliable. Like, I did one talking about the skateboard.
mhm,
That was very powerful when you talk about that skateboard because the skateboard, I don't want to get into it because it can take like 4 to 5 minutes to
mm,
explain, but it's about a father who had a bad experience with the skateboard and didn't want his son to ride the skateboard because he was pushing his experience off on the son and his fears. And
mm.
that correlates to a lot of things that's happening in our neighborhoods with a lot of our people.
Absolutely, and you talked about neighborhoods and our people and
Mhm.
how a lot of things get
Yeah.
transferred on, and one of the things you talked about earlier that really resonated with me was, you thought growing up that only Caucasian people, only white people was smart people,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to try to be smart or whatever, or appear smart means you're trying to be like them. That really
Yeah.
resonated with me as well. But also I'm thinking about, and I think that that's something that has continued to permeate through our communities to this very day, Black and brown
Mhm.
communities.
Yeah.
Though you see more Black and brown people celebrated for their genius, celebrated for their brilliance, or for being nerds or whatever, because it's to be
Mhm.
celebrated. But
Yeah.
you also talk, a little bit about, I think you talked about communities, but even if you didn't, I'm thinking about what do people in the broader community need to understand about prevention, intervention, and what it takes to really heal? Because what I'm hearing from you is, this journey of healing, but not
Yeah.
only healing, but also setting examples for other people to find their own healing. But again,
Yeah.
people who haven't been on our types of walks in addiction, um,
Mhm.
the type of backgrounds that many of us come out of, what do they misunderstand about prevention, intervention, and healing?
Well, they think it's only for a select group, for one.
Mm,
It's not for me. We're talking about, let's just say, those elites or those suburbanites, those people that stay in the suburban areas who look at their life and compare their lives with ours by what we have and what we don't have. If
mm,
you're looking at it from that lens,
yeah,
healing would be hard.
yeah,
But
man.
if you look at it from the lens of a human perspective and said the information that I'm hearing, even on this podcast,
Hmm.
that I need healing within myself. And
Hmm.
it's called, I do something also called the a relationship bank account, right? And it's the same as a natural bank account. How many withdrawals are you making from yourself?
Right.
And if you keep making these withdrawals from yourself, you're gonna be in the red.
Unless you
But
make
how many how you know
and
what I mean? You gotta start making deposits into yourself, but you also got to be open with yourself. Like, listen, I need help, bro.
mm,
You would never know by looking at me that I suffer from major anxiety, major depression, and have PTSD and seeing a psychologist right now.
mhm,
I'm taking medication to balance me out from these things, right?
mhm,
Because certain experiences cause certain traumas,
trauma.
right? But I had to get to the place where, yo, man, especially let me say this. Even this, Waleed, you wouldn't even know that I attempted suicide twice. So I got to the place where I'm like, yo, bro, you can't do this by yourself. It's nothing wrong with saying I need help. And
Mhm,
I was working on a good job. I was working on several good jobs. I quit my last job 7 months ago because it was affecting my mental health.
yeah,
I said, nah, bro, working 14 hours, 15 hours a day, neglecting my family, neglecting my wife,
mhm,
all for chasing a bag. But I'm telling other people they need to commit and make an investment in their family. I wasn't even invested in mine. So those that are watching, personal development and mental health, and that you really got to look at that. It's not based up on what you have and what you don't have. It's based up on what's going on internally.
mm,
All hell was going on in my life. So that stereotype that's them, that doesn't fit me. When
yeah,
you sit in the room and you're drinking a bottle of drinking bourbon all day and you're not sitting there talking to your wife or to your husband,
mhm,
there's something wrong with that relationship, meaning inside of you,
mhm,
where it's everyone's fault but your own. So when do we come to the place of accountability? That's what we're talking about with personal development, internal work. Anywhere I go and do a workshop, I said, let's get ready to do some real work. If you're
Yeah.
not ready for it, hey man, we can go somewhere else. But real work is really looking inside, man, doing introspection, man, and stop looking from the outside, but looking inside and like, yo, bro, I'm in this situation because of what I'm doing. Can I share something with you right quick?
Go ahead.
I go to a friend of mine who does my hair, which is this, just gives me a shave, but he's going through home. But he was a tyrant before he changed.
Hmm.
Was a tyrant. He was very stoic. So now that he's changing, he's blaming his wife for not changing with him. But I said, bro, you have made so many withdrawals. She don't know when you gonna come back and make some more withdrawals.
Hmm.
So stop blaming her and looking at what she's not doing, but look at the damage that you caused. And you continue to be the change or the person that you say you are, and eventually she'll catch up when she sees that it's real. But I said, bro, we do a lot of damage to people. And bro, brother Ali, we thinking because we change, everybody else gonna forget about what we do. No, that don't happen.
No, that's right.
No, we just keep on being who we are. If you're really doing it for you, but if you're doing it for the other person, here comes the emotional recidivism.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question.
It does, brother, and it makes me
Mhm.
think about my own life and how, like, I'm an avid cyclist, and actually, after we get off of this call, I'm jumping
Yeah,
on my bike. Um,
yeah,
but one of the things that happens is sometimes when I'm out on my bike, I think
yeah.
I'm hauling ass, but
Right,
then
right, right,
somebody come right past me. I'm like,
right,
oh,
right,
yeah, But and sometimes
right,
I'll catch myself trying to catch them, but then I have to stop
right,
and realize I'm on my bike, on my ride,
right.
my
That's right.
path, and they are on
Right.
theirs.
Yeah,
I'll get caught up. I'll get hurt. Something
yeah.
won't go right if I'm trying to keep up with them.
That's right.
I
That's
gotta
right.
do me. I gotta ride my
Yeah.
life. And the same, I might go flying past somebody.
Right.
And I used to find myself thinking, they're going so slow. Look at that person. But then I had to realize they're
Yeah.
doing the best that they could do, or they're doing what
That's
they
right.
want to do. They're on their path. So we all
That's
gotta
right.
stay on our path and pay attention to what's gonna work for us and how we are impacting other people around us.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So tell me, man, because we're just about at the end of our time.
Okay.
If there was anything that I didn't touch on that you thought was important that you wanted to share, please take this time to maybe just
Yeah.
expound for a couple of minutes.
Well, the only thing that I would expound on for those that are listening, when you're sitting by yourself, because we all do it,
Mhm.
we all sit by ourselves and be thinking about what we want to do and how we want to change. Change is not change until you start implementing it. So take little small steps and just move towards who you want to become.
Yeah, man.
Don't be afraid because you can still take fear with you, but as long as it's behind you.
Yeah,
If it's behind you, that means you're moving forward
right.
and move towards the person that you want to be and stop living a life based up on materialistic things.
Mm,
Don't be known by what you have and what you bring home, but be known for your character and integrity for who you are.
yeah,
It's okay to love your kids. It's okay to love your spouse. It's okay to love anybody. Be, I tell you what, I have found since I'm free to love, it does. I feel I'm free, man. I have never been this free before in my life where I can say, "Hey, brother Waleed, I really love you," and really mean it, meaning that I would do anything in my power to serve.
yeah, man.
Because sometimes we get into marriages and relationships, and we think that the other person serves. But brother, I serve my wife, and she serves me, and I find pleasure in doing that. I find pleasure in serving my kids.
Yeah,
So when you have that mindset and don't think that it's again for other people, it's not for me. You could be making six figures, seven figures, whatever you might be making. You could be making $2, $3, as they say.
$2, $3. Yeah,
Yeah, $2, $3, whatever you're making. Again, permutation has to start within,
yeah,
and don't be afraid to ask for help.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You touched a couple times,
Mhm.
on earnings and how people value what they bring home versus who they are. And just last night, I was finishing up a piece, a little poetry piece I was writing. And I just like to share some of it because it resonates. And I'll jump around because it's kind of long. But one part of it, I say, they trade breath for banknotes, heartbeat for hollow applause, stacking paper walls between themselves and the world, not realizing they've locked themselves in. And then I go on in another part and I say, so they gather more cars, more clothes, more counterfeit confidence. parading armor that shines but does not protect, because beneath the silk and steel, beneath the brand names and borrowed power, lives a trembling child who never learned how to stand without a price tag.
Wow, bro. That's how we opened up, isn't it? Talking about that.
Yeah, man.
And that's so true. And I don't know why in my late age, man, I'm 61.
Yeah.
And the reason I get emotional behind that is because so many people place their value in who they are on what you just read, bro. And Harriet Tubman, Harriet is very emotional. And Harriet Tubman, they give her credit, but some don't. They say she said it, they say she don't, but I'm gonna say it. If she said it, fine. If she didn't say it, fine. She said, I could have freed a lot more slaves if they knew that they were slaves.
Mm,
And that touches me because every time I walk into the rooms, I'm nothing but another modern day Harriet Tubman,
mhm, 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 mhm.
trying to help people be free from ignorance, trying to help people be free from the vices,
Yeah,
because we live in a system and a society and a culture that's so bag oriented and materialistic oriented that they're losing their selves, they're losing their identity,
yeah,
and they're going bankrupt. They're getting in debt for this.
yeah,
I went to the LPGA tournament 2 years ago to watch the golf tournament, man, and this is crazy. Staying on the resort, and you're walking around with these influential people who got this money, and I'm just nice. I speak to everybody, and you wave at a person and people, and you keep seeing the same thing being extended to you, and no one's waving back. And I sat there and I thought I did a post. I said, no matter if I have a $53,000 car or a $300,000 car, I'm still the same person. So I stopped pursuing the bag and start pursuing me,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
I don't need status quo. I need me. But
That's
when you start doing that status quo stuff, man, you'll get lost in that, man. So
right.
that poem was deep. I almost started crying, bro. So
Mm,
thank you.
right.
Yeah.
Appreciate hearing that, bro. So, bro, tell me, how can
Mhm.
people reach you? If people want to reach you,
Well,
how can they reach you?
they can always call. My wife tell me about my phone number. I say, well, listen, this is business. They can reach me via phone call 585-524-9997, 585-524-9997, or they can just reach me on all social media outlets, Waymon, Waymon Daniels, and just DM me. I'll be more than happy to talk to them. I'd be more than happy to come to their organizations, to their schools, and talk about personal development that leads to leadership.
Right on. And with that, Wayman, I want to say thank you. I say that's a
Yeah.
wrap.
I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you too.
Appreciate you. All
Hey,
right.
man.
Peace. Yeah.
Peace. Let's stay in
Okay.
touch.
All right. Peace, man. Appreciate you.
Peace,
All right.
man. Appreciate you.
Bye bye.
Thanks.
Yeah.
One. Hey, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with me for another episode of the Prison to Promise podcast. If you or someone you know would like to share their prison to promise story on this platform, please hit me up at drcraigwaleed@gmail.com. I'll spell it for you. That's DrCraigWaleed@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Peace.